The negative has a lot to say on contention 1. Unfortunately, all she's talking about is solvency, and we're talking about significance. Go to contention number 1, where we argue that there is a significant problem in the status quo. We say in subpoint A that we can't afford to live in a world where we have chemical weapons used. She says there's no evidence we can solve. My first answer is that's non-responsive. This is an argument about whether there is a problem in the status quo and whether that problem is significant. Our evidence says that we cannot live in a world that has people using chemical weapons. Extend that argument. It proves that there is a significant problem in the status quo. My second argument is that down below in contention 2, we prove that we can solve this problem because we show that when we bomb Syria, it's going to send a message both to other leaders and to Iran specifically. And we'll get to that debate when we get to it. In subpoint B, we say that allowing Syria will allow other leaders to do what they want. And she says, hey, negotiated solutions within civil wars are hard. My first answer is this is non-responsive. This says we can't solve the civil war. My second argument is we're not trying to solve the civil war. We're trying to send a message to horrible people that have the potential to use weapons of mass destruction, that if you do, there will be a consequence to pay. And that is the problem that we're trying to solve. Please extend subpoint B that indicates that what we do in Syria impacts other leaders. That indicates that the problem is bigger than just Syria. It's an issue that applies to other leaders. In subpoint C, we say that Iran will see this as a nuclear possibility. And she says her first response is this will cause retaliation. My first argument is this is a disadvantage argument, not a significance claim. Please extend my argument that it will be a significant problem because Iran will start to see nuclear as a possibility. My second argument is that her source is Ted Cruz, who is a ridiculous senator from Texas. Do not believe he's full of rhetoric. He reads green eggs and ham in front of the Senate, and he tried to shut down the government over Obamacare. You are not going to trust him as a legitimate source on what Iran is going to do. Please go to subpoint D, where we tell you Iran will accelerate nukes. She says that Iran sees this attack as a reason to do more. My first argument is, again, this is a disadvantage or solvency argument, not a significance claim. Please extend our evidence that says Iran will accelerate, and that causes there to be a bigger problem. My second argument is that the 1NC evidence proves that we need to attack because her evidence says it's all about Iran's concept of our image and whether or not we are weak. The evidence says that Iran knows that the public is war weary. We need to prove to them that we're not war weary, and we need to go attack, and show them that we will use our military might. In subpoint E, we argue that Iran's acceleration would be horrible. And she says, well, this could lead to Syria striking Israel. My first argument is that, once again, is a disadvantage claim, not an answer to our significance. Please extend the idea that Iran with nuclear weapons will lead to nuclear proliferation in the Middle East and nuclear terrorism. That goes undenied in the 1NC. Look, is there a significant problem? Of course there is. Right now we have Syria using chemical weapons. It's encouraging other people to get crazy, and when they do, it's going to cause nuclear terrorism. The only argument they have is, can they solve it? Please go to contention 2 and we'll prove we can. In subpoint A, we say the plan will change Assad's calculus. And she says, how do we know? My first argument is because our sources are qualified and they make excellent predictive guesses. My second argument is that history also proved we have used attacks on Syria and other countries in the past to deter their illegal behavior, and it has worked. She says intervention could possibly increase support for Assad. My first argument is that we're not trying to solve the civil war. We don't really care at the end of the day what happens there, because she's right. They're unpredictable and difficult to figure out. The bigger issue is, what message does this send to the world when we attack Syria, and when that message is undenied. Please go to subpoint B, where we say the intervention will constrain behavior. And she says civil wars are tough to solve. My first argument is that's not responsive. Extend our evidence that says that when we attack him, it will force him to constrain his behavior. That is the linchpin to our solvency. She says, how do we know? Because our evidence says that that's what's going to happen, and our predictive experts are better than her opinion. In subpoint C, we say that it'll deter Iran by sending a bold message. And it says that her answer is it's unlikely they will stand down in force of the United States. My first argument is that her evidence does not assume the status quo. Iran has changed its leadership in the last election in Iran, and they are looking to increase their image on the world stage. They are not interested in being perceived as terrorists. They are not interested in being perceived as a nuclear program. They want to negotiate. In fact, the Obama administration is negotiating with Iran for the first time in the last decade. They are not interested in responding to our attack in Syria by attacking us. It will be just the opposite. Subpoint D says that it will send a strong message to Tehran. She says above, but please extend both of our evidence in C and D. It gives you really good analysis as to why Iran will listen to our message. In subpoint E, we say that this will deter future chemical weapons use. And she says there's no proof that Assad did it. My first argument is that's a significance argument placed on solvency. It doesn't matter whether Assad ordered it himself or not. Our evidence says that if we strike Assad, other countries will be less likely to use. That's the claim that we make. That's what our evidence says. Extend it. At the end of the debate, what do you have? You have a clear, significant problem. The question is, can we solve it? Our argument is that our predictive experts prove you can. Striking Assad will punish him and prevent him from using chemical weapons, but more importantly, it will send a message to other leaders in the world. And Iran and other nasty people will be less likely to use weapons of mass destruction. I now stand open for cross-examination.
Okay, so in contention 2, subpoint C, you said that Iran will not attack us if we attack Syria.
Yeah.
So what would happen if we attacked Syria? What would Iran do?
They'd get scared, and they will stop developing the militarization of their nuclear weapons.
But if we're on negotiating terms with them, why are they still making their chemical weapons?
Because we just started like a week ago.
Then how are we sure that we should trust them if after 10 decades we haven't trusted them?
Because I'm arguing that the status quo is better to move in that path, and we're not saying we trust them. We're saying we need to bomb Syria to further enhance the message to them and drive them to negotiating table, right? We're not saying, Iran is suddenly the good guy. We're just saying that they don't have a motivation anymore to retaliate with force. Their motivation now is to respond to what we do by coming to the negotiating table.
Okay, and you also say that in contention 2, subpoint E, that this is a significant problem, which we will agree with. However, it's significant enough to be remembered that this kind of makes the whole argument baseless if we don't know for sure who.
I honestly don't understand the question. It does not matter if Assad ordered it or not. Our argument is they were used. And that symbolically sent a message to the rest of the world of, uh-oh, a red line has been crossed. What's going to happen? And the fact that we do something will send a message to the world, regardless of who ordered it. The question now is, what's the image of the response? And we're saying we've got to respond or we're going to look weak. The paper tiger, I think our evidence indicates.